Welcome to In Conversation. I'm your host, Steve Iverson. Climate change is a crucial topic today, and most people believe that not enough is being done quickly enough to prevent its worst effects. Now today we have with us two Lexington students who are acting and making a difference in this regard. Grace Young and Linda Kebichi belong to a group called Lex Climate Strike in Lexington, which is planning a strike on Friday, September 20th, a week from tomorrow, to draw attention to the need for action on climate change. And we're very pleased that Grace and Linda have been able to come in and speak with us. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. So, Grace, I believe you're sort of in charge of the organization, and Linda is doing communications?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And may I ask how you decided to get involved with this particular issue?
So, a really famous Lexington High School alum is Bill McKibben. He's the founder of 350.org, which is this huge climate action organization that's done protests in every country except North Korea. He's been nominated for the Nobel, and he's done a lot of amazing work, and I admire him a lot.
Okay.
I started getting involved with this when he came to speak at LHS, and in the middle of it, I was just thinking, we're Lexington. Why haven't we been involved in any of the climate strikes so far? And right then and there, I thought to myself, okay, we're doing one in Lexington, and we're going to start it right now.
Fantastic. There was a pivotal moment there for you.
Yeah.
Are climate strikes happening in other places with similar groups?
Oh yes, it's happening internationally, and Greta Thunberg has been doing a lot of promoting for that. She, you probably heard of the story of her sailing across the Atlantic to get to New York. She'll be participating in the New York September 20th protests, and then she'll be speaking at the UN. She's an icon for so many people. I think it's really inspiring how someone with disabilities like her can make such a huge difference and bring such an impact on so many people. Climate activism has been going on for years, but only after Greta started skipping school has it really kicked off. And she's made so many sacrifices for this, and I think we're all super grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. So is it safe to say that she sort of got this idea rolling of strikes among students? And is your group in some way a part of a network, or is it unique to you folks?
We're definitely part of a network. As Grace said earlier, we're hoping to become a sunrise hub after this, so that we can...
And what is that now?
Basically, it's a way to keep the Lexington climate strike going after
Okay.
September 20th, which is the date for global climate strikes. So.
Okay.
So Sunrise, it's a national organization that's been pushing for a lot of climate policy.
Mm-hmm.
They were pushing for the climate debate. They got the CNN town hall going, and now they're pushing for a Green New Deal. And they work in hubs, and we have high school hubs, college hubs, because this is a youth-led movement. So we're going to lead a high school hub.
Fantastic. So what, in a bit more detail, what will actually happen on Friday, a week from tomorrow, on the 20th?
So parents will arrive at around 10, and so we'll actually have some adults marching from the Green to LHS in show of support of us. And then at around 10:05, the kids will gather at LHS, will march to the football field with a banner. Then at around 10:20, we'll start doing minimal speeches. And then we'll also have banner signing, and it's gonna act like a sort of artistic petition that we're later gonna deliver to the town hall. We'll have minimal speeches, including our state senator, Senator Barrett, who has been really supportive of us. Speaking of support, we're also super grateful for the support of Michelle Socolo, our state rep. Principal Stevens can't actively support us, however, he did give me a pep talk, which was nice. And our superintendent, Dr. Julie Hackett, has been giving us praise, and she's been really pushing us to keep this going. So yeah, Senator Barrett will speak, 2 LHS students will speak. Then will gather in a circle to represent the Earth and represent how connection and how climate change connects to every aspect of our lives and every single social issue. We'll put the banners in the center, have someone climb on top of the bleachers, take a picture of that, and then after that, the main strike will be over, but the core team and anyone else who's willing to miss more than one class will be marching to the center, will take a picture at the green, and then deliver a petition to the town hall.
Do you think that the school will just sort of say, it's a good cause, don't worry about it too much, or do you think there might be some other discussion about people missing classes?
So the school administration, because they are sort of the authority, they're not allowed to actively support us, and also this is civil disobedience. So they really can't actively support us, and that's why Principal Stevens, he'll be there supervising, but he can't actively participate in the strike. So, I mean, yes, we're missing class, and if a teacher, most teachers are very supportive, but if a teacher isn't supportive, they might have a test on that day that a kid might have to make up. Also, we get, if you do happen to get an unexcused absence, our school policy is that you have 5 absences before your grade is replaced with an N, which you can appeal. And this is probably going to be the first and only absence for most of us.
Also, what a lot of people participated in the March for Our Lives protest last year if they were going to LHS. So essentially it's the same sort of civil disobedience as they experienced there, so they can expect the same circumstances as they did last year.
Okay. And people do make sacrifices occasionally for causes that they find are important or compelling, and they miss classes and make other sacrifices too. So maybe perhaps the sacrifice is part of the point.
It is.
Just showing people you're willing to actually take a risk, make a sacrifice, because it's important.
Yeah. Because, as I did say earlier, climate protests have been going on for years. It only started becoming this huge movement because of Greta skipping school.
So she was the first prominent student to do that.
Yes.
And other people have followed. And when she started skipping school for this purpose, do you happen to know whether she did it on her own or whether she had other people who were involved?
So the first time she did it, it was she had been so depressed to the point where she couldn't even go to school because what's the point of an education if we have no future?
Sure.
So one day she wrote "School Strike for the Climate" in Swedish on a sign, went in front of the Swedish Parliament, held up the sign, and sat there. At first she looked really stupid because she was just one person, but then people did start joining her, and then she started making headlines, and it started spreading all over Europe, all over the world, and now it's this huge movement that I'm so proud to be a part of.
Sure. And outside of the school staff, you know, the teachers, the principal, the administrators, and so on, and the state senator who's attending, what kind of support, participation have you been getting from adults with your activism?
I mean, our parents are definitely supportive, and we've been taught, there's so many climate organizations in Lexington, and I'm so happy to know them all. For example, LPS Green Teams, Lexington Global Warming Action Coalition, First Paris Climate Action Team, Hancock Environmental Action Team, and I could list so many of them, and we could be here for hours.
Sure.
But I think one of my problems with this movement, with the children, is that a lot of sometimes they say, it's our parents' fault that this happened. It's not your parents' fault. It's the government. And our parents are so supportive of this, and they're doing so much for us that I don't think that's true. I think that there's such a great community in Lexington, and they're doing so many amazing things. And the strike wouldn't be what it is. The strike wouldn't be as awesome as it will be if it weren't for adults.
Have your parents and other adults been advising you much, or is this something that the two of you have sort of just taken off with on your own, or how's that worked?
We get a lot of input from the adults helping us.
Yeah.
So they've helped us with all our sign making. We had an art build the other day at Cary Library, and a lot of them came and helped us with that. They brought their children, and they told a lot of people about it, so they're definitely being very helpful. But also our youth core team is obviously like the major part that's making this happen. So we work together, but we try to make it led by the students.
Sure. You've been doing the communications, Linda. Is it something that you've done with in other places, other things, or is this the first time?
This is probably the first time I've done it like this large scale because, again, we have like a pretty large communications team that's really great at reaching out to a lot of clubs and people on all their email lists, which is pretty big. And they've done a great job of just spreading the word, so a lot of people are aware of what's happening ahead of time so that we can hopefully have a large attendance on September 20th.
Have you been using mostly like email discussion lists, other formats, other venues?
Yeah. We use a lot of email chains, just going around like verbally spreading the word. We've spread a lot of flyers around school. We also have our Instagram account, which is at Lex Climate Strike.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's
Yeah, please
important.
follow that.
I saw that you have a website. You can't do anything without a website, of course. Who created your website?
His name is Kebichi. He's been really great. And I think one of the issues I've seen with climate activism or environmentalism in general is that it's mostly female because caring for the environment seems like a more feminine thing to do. However, the fate of the human race is not a girl thing. Everyone needs to be involved with this. And I'm grateful for the boys on our team, and they've done a really great job.
Are there any other students who we haven't mentioned who have played a really central role and done a lot for the organization? Anyone you'd like to mention while we're talking about it? Or have we covered them?
Yeah. Our core team is pretty big, and they all are a really huge part of this, including Anya Rao, Belinda Wu, Eric Deschner. They all came to the art build, and they're part of our core team, and they've done an amazing job.
Good.
Yeah, Anjali Shaw did our flyers.
Yeah, Anjali
They're
too.
absolutely beautiful.
Okay.
And Aline Karamian, she did the brochures that we sent out to all our teachers, sort of telling them about who we are and how teachers can support us, and that was really great.
You know, the idea of climate change being such a big problem that might not be being addressed quickly enough. It produces in a lot of people a certain concern and perhaps anxiety. Do you feel that yourselves?
Climate anxiety has definitely been a thing for me, but being part of this movement has really helped with that because it feels so much better to be actually doing something, to be actually making a difference than just looking at the news and seeing, oh, in 18 months this will happen, oh, in 11 years this will happen. That's really depressing.
Yeah, I feel like by doing this, I feel less like there's just this, I don't know, say in 20 years or so, climate change is going to be irreversible. But yeah, just being a part of an organization like this makes me feel like we can reverse the path that we're going in right now before it's too late.
Right. And do you two and the other people in your organization, do you agree on certain changes that are crucial to turning things around? Anything in particular? People talk about using solar more and many other approaches. Are there any that you in particular think should be pursued first?
I think renewable energy is a huge thing because renewable energy is getting cheaper and cheaper, but that doesn't matter if the fossil fuel industry is so powerful that we just continue using fossil fuels, and what we do need is policy change. I mean, walking instead of driving or taking a shorter shower, those things are all great, but that doesn't change the fact that 70% of global emissions come from just 100 corporations, and all the individual actions we can take, even collectively, even added together, is nothing if the government isn't on our side.
And you feel as though the government is not on your side?
Yes.
Nationally, locally in Massachusetts? I guess those are different governments.
Yeah, I guess more like globally because, I mean, a lot of the time government doesn't have much of a say in what corporations do individually. So it's up to them to decide like what's more important, giving corporates autonomy or our future.
Of course. What do you think of the current presidential administration and their attitudes towards climate change?
Climate change is real.
It's not a Chinese hoax?
No.
It's not a Chinese hoax.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. But our current president claimed that at one time.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone likes their environmental policies, and I think even just agreeing that climate change is real, something that so many people still haven't caught up to, even agreeing that climate change is real isn't enough. Like I said before, that these individual actions, even going vegan, which is said to be the biggest personal step you can take towards combating climate change.
I was going to ask about that. Thank you. We'll return to that, but go ahead. Continue.
Even going vegan, it is the biggest step you can take towards combating climate change. One, not everyone has the resources to go vegan. I feel like it's a privilege thing, sort of. And here in Lexington, we're privileged, but not everyone can. And two, it's still corporations doing this. And there's this concept called individualization of responsibility, which basically means that the blame is placed on us instead of corporations that are causing the actual problem.
So we all bear some responsibility.
Well, that's the concept, but it's wrong.
Okay.
I think it's wrong.
And how would you argue that that's wrong? And I'm not arguing with you. I just would like to hear more.
You just look at the stats. Corporations are emitting so much more greenhouse gases than individual houses ever can. And even if, I don't know, someone buys a plastic cup instead of buying a paper cup, it's because that's what's available. And people say that, like, the will of the customers drives the supply. And yes, but people do go out of their way to be super environmentally friendly. Like Greta, who took a sailboat here. But even that's symbolic, because she will take a plane back. And
flying is not especially good in terms of climate change.
Yeah, flying emits a lot of greenhouse gases.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always as though people can really choose if they want to, like, opt for all these things. Like, sometimes a lot of people aren't in a position where they can buy a reusable cup instead of just getting a plastic cup.
Or buy a yacht.
Or that.
Right.
Because yachts are sort of this.
Right.
Yachts are sort of the symbol of wealth and privilege. And I mean, yes, Greta's a disabled girl, but she is white and she is from Sweden, which is a great country.
It's a very progressive country, and they've seemed to do well in some regards, having to do with environmentalism and taking care of their citizens and so forth.
Even then, like Greta says, they need to do more.
Do you have any opinions about what countries around the world are doing best, are pursuing things as well as you could compared to other countries? I keep hearing nice things about Germany, about how more and more of their power is coming from renewables, for instance. Do you know offhand of any other countries who are doing well when it comes to climate change?
I feel like collectively we're all relying too much on fossil fuels.
Sure.
And with the exception of Germany, most countries are going to try to make the greatest income they can,
Sure.
greatest profit, and the quickest way to do that is fossil fuels. It's not
Sure.
exactly renewable energy.
Sure. Although I've heard that as solar technology advances and the cost drops, continues to drop, it appears like a more and more realistic solution, if that's the word. Although then you have the problem of how you'll store the energy, because eventually it's nighttime. But I'm sure that can be addressed as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any, does your group or any of the resources that you've looked at have any idea about the use of nuclear energy, which is supposedly less carbon intensive than petroleum products and oil, but you have a problem with waste? Do you have any opinion about that? Or?
I think it's an innovative idea. Like, I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I haven't done much research on it,
Sure.
but I feel like it's an idea we haven't encountered before, and what we really need right now is innovation, because renewable energy, as of now, maybe in the future, the price is going to continue to drop and it's going to become more accessible. and that will become a more real solution. But as of now, I think that's a possibility.
Sure. Okay. It'll probably take contributions in many different areas and sectors to really make a big difference. Have you spoken to Bill McKibben at all? You mentioned his name earlier. He's a very prominent activist. Have you had an opportunity to speak with him at all about your own efforts?
So when he came to LHS to speak, I asked him a question about how Lexington can get involved. And then later on, I emailed him saying, hey, we're organizing this in Lexington. If you could send in a quote for us to read out at the strike, we'd really appreciate that. He responded very quickly.
Wow.
And he sent us this beautiful quote. And I'm going to read it out at the strike. So if you want to hear it, be there.
Fantastic. So at some point you'll be able to stop and say, and now we'd like to read something that Bill McKibben has written and would like you to hear. Oh. And he's from Lexington originally, but doesn't live here now.
He lives in Vermont.
Vermont, okay. All right. But we've got about 5 minutes left here, and I want to make sure that we don't neglect anything that you would like people to know about, because, of course, the reason that you came on is to spread the word and make sure that people know about what you're doing and know about the strike on a week from tomorrow. Is there anything that we haven't got to yet that you'd like to make sure people know about, or anything that we've spoken about already that you've been thinking I should have said this too? Maybe not, but I do want to give you the opportunity.
So one question we get a lot is, what will striking do? Why would I go here when I could just stay in class? But the thing, and I've heard a lot that activism is useless, which I'm kind of disappointed about, because this is Lexington, and this is the birthplace of America. We were founded on activism. We were founded on radical rebellion, and activism does make a difference. Did women get the right to vote by staying at home? Did we get desegregation by staying at home? No, we were in the streets, we were protesting, and that's how we get change. And this isn't just one little strike. This is one piece in the puzzle of a huge international movement. And on September 20th, and September 20th is just the beginning.
You're going to continue?
Yes. In climate activism, it's already made a big difference. 350.org's fossil-free campaign, they recently got the European Investment Bank, which is the world's biggest public lender, to propose a draft policy that will end funding of all fossil fuels after 2020, which is next year.
So it's a bank that has chosen or has been compelled to stop funding the fossil fuel industry.
A very influential bank, yes.
Very influential bank. Huh. And this group 350 that Bill McKibben started is sort of what's made that happen?
He started it as a professor with some of his students, and it's huge now. Bill McKibben and 350 is super famous, and they've gotten so much stuff done, and they've done protests in every country in the world except North Korea.
Once Friday passes, a week from Friday, how do you see yourself staying involved in working for fixing climate change problems over the next 10 years or 20 years? Have you even thought about how you might continue to be involved as you leave high school and go to college and have careers?
I'm hoping I can do something like biotechnology based and hopefully work on renewable energy in my future. But yeah, that's still a plan. Sure.
Well, this is enough right now. But I was just wondering if either of you had decided that this is what you're going to devote your entire careers to, or something else.
Yeah, it's still like a big personal value for me
for
the rest of my life, regardless of what I decide to pursue.
Sure.
For me, I mean, in the near future, the Sunrise Hub is going to be my huge thing for probably the rest of my high school career, because I think Sunrise is such a great organization, and I really think that the youth will do this. We will save the world. And I'm thinking for like college and my career, probably maybe something in policy, because I feel like we need politicians to be on our side. We need the government to care about our futures.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I understand that Lex Media here is going to attend your event and is going to record it,
Yes.
record parts of it, and with the hope of making it available to people on Lexington's cable TV stations
Yeah.
and also online. So I wanted to mention that as well, so that people will know to look for that.
Stay tuned.
Exactly. Stay tuned. And I want to thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
This has been fascinating. I've learned a lot. It was nice to meet you both, Grace and Linda. I want to wish you the very best with your event.
Thank you.
And maybe we can talk after it's over so I can hear more about how it goes.
I think all of us really have learned so much from this, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to come on again and just talk about what we learned, because activism, it's something really, really great, and it's a really great leadership opportunity. And not only that, but I've also learned just from working with so many people that have different strengths and are from different backgrounds. And I think that's something that people should know, so that if people have a cause that they're really interested in, they should start something like this. They should do something.
That's fantastic advice. I may take it myself. Well, thank you again, and we'll talk when it's over and maybe do another show.
Okay, thank you.
So you've been watching In Conversation. Thanks for watching.